I'm James.
And I'm James.
And today we're talking
Nope, we don't have time for it. We just got to cut right to the intro. We have like 9 games to cover.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Far Cry?
Far Cry is like half of my favorite game series because the first ones were pretty good. They're pretty good.
So how's it only?
It's like it's my favorite half series.
It's only got one ball.
It's like Fast and the Furious. It was like the first one, and then it was like 5, 6, 7, 8. You know.
Tokyo Drift was alright.
Tokyo Drift.
It was a sampling platform.
It is, yeah. It's the Far Cry 2 of that series. We'll get into that.
It's actually
later.
out of order. But.
Well, yeah. Far Cry, the original Far Cry, came out in 2004. I got my first PC in 2005. My friend who knew about PCs says, "Oh yeah, this will run on your PC." It did not. It ran at like 800 by 600 in psychedelic colors.
So you had a seizure.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. My friend who knew about computers. I'm getting worn out from that already.
So you're doing friend in quotations, which
yeah,
means
he didn't know shit about computers. No, not that kind of friend. Don't do that towards my face.
Splat. Anyway, all right.
Anyway, wow, this is already going off rails. Okay, so anyway. When I did finally get to see it on a real computer that could game, that a friend who didn't know about computers didn't pick out for me, when I built myself, I was like, oh, this game's great. It's got an amazing draw distance for the time. You remember Pop In, right?
Yeah, I remember Pop In. I popped a few out.
You popped. Whoa. Anyway, so it had an amazing draw distance, unplayable on my first PC, but now I could see it in all its glory. But it's still very difficult. You've played it.
Yeah, I have.
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's a tough game. They laser focus, go straight for you. It's not dumb. I think I would say the most time I'd had on like a first-person shooter at that point was probably like one of the Bond games, like GoldenEye. So when I played,
mine was Duke Nukem.
Yeah,
which isn't saying much.
Yeah, I mean they're brainless in Duke Nukem.
Yeah, they are.
But in GoldenEye, they're pretty smart. But they also you just got to wait around a corner for them. As long as you get around a corner, that game's all about cornering. It's more about cornering than like Gran Turismo. Yeah. It did also push hardware. Obviously, it almost didn't work on mine, and it kind of makes sense that it pushed hardware so far because the follow-up game that Crytek made after this was Crysis, which, I mean, that game,
which pretty much gauges what anything can.
Yeah, you have to have a V8 to run Crysis. Yeah. And you better have an oil change in mind, because that game, it still can be rough on my computer. Oh, yeah. Later on, this Far Cry was ported to Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network as a downloadable, and it was tweaked a little bit and actually a little better. Okay. Far Cry Instincts followed. Sorry. Try that again.
Sorry.
Far Cry Instincts followed in 2005 for the Xbox, which was the only system that could handle that game.
Yeah, it's pretty much a PC anyway.
Yeah, well, and they canceled the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube port of both of Far Cry Instinct. So Xbox got it exclusive, and then when the Xboxes, the Xbox always had that fun thing where there'd be like an expansion come out later.
Yeah.
So they made one for Instincts called Evolution. Evolution had so you could have it either that way on Xbox as 2 different games, or if you were already an adopter of the Xbox 360, you could get Far Cry Instincts Predator, which had both games and improved visuals. And that's a fun game. You can build your own map.
Yep.
We've played it online against each other. It's a great game. It wasn't as open world, which everybody said Far Cry was open world, but it was like pseudo open world.
Kind of sandboxy, kind of.
It was a little bit, but you were still kind of bound into an area. It was just a big area, and you can go through it however you want. This one kind of leads you down a path a little bit, but it had improved things like setting traps, so you could throw a rock, have them come and over to you, and the trap would spring. I like this game better than the original. I think this is a good game. It still has that kind of floaty Halo-y one kind of feel to it. You know how the Halo games, which I don't really like.
Okay, look. I'm gonna cut you off.
It's a standard first-person shooter from 2005. We'll just put it that way.
Okay.
They almost were all alike. And I think there's room for improvement in those type of games, yet Master Chief still kind of plays the same, which I guess is cool, but anyway.
Far Cry Vengeance.
So this next one here, I'm just going to tell you this story, I guess.
Okay.
Far Cry Vengeance was made by Ubisoft Montreal. So Crytek was gone. Ubisoft Montreal started taking over these things. This is kind of a port of Far Cry Instincts, but terrible. It was really bad. I was crouching one time in the game, and it has to do that mid-level loading, where you walk a little bit and it's what's supposed to be an open level, and then these little tiny loading screens. And after the loading screen went away, I was stuck in crouch. But it also auto-saved, so when I went back to the game,
You were stuck in
I was
crouch.
still stuck in crouch, no matter if I reloaded my old save. This game was awful. It was atrocious on the Wii. It looked worse. This is the Wii, which is, it's supposed to be a generation above the Xbox, and the original Xbox Far Cry games looked better than this.
But it's the Wii.
I did not. This looked like the end of Far Cry for me. I'm like, if they're putting it on the Wii and just shoveling it out there and being like, we don't care. And I thought, if Crytek's not in charge and Ubisoft Montreal is just going to screw this up. And I really think this was built off of the canceled PS2 and GameCube port, and that's why it looks so bad. But I can never confirm that. Okay, so moving on to this is the Tokyo Drift or Fast and Furious 4 that leads to better things.
So we're in
We're in the
8th gear. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy who edits those movies really needs to drive a stick shift once in his life, because he's it's like okay, Vin Diesel has a Dodge with 18 gears in it.
This is all you hear.
That's why his arms are jacked. So anyway,
Family.
Far Cry 2 came out. It was good. And Ubisoft Montreal made it, so they could make a good game.
Canada.
That's what it is. So it had a new engine, which I think helped a lot.
And they sent everybody a bag of milk.
Because I'm sorry, the Crytek engine, no. Crytek engine sucks. I've never played a stable game on the Crytek engine.
I can't say I have either.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. Okay, one game that was on the I keep calling it Crytek engine. It's probably called something else. But the one game I played that was good on the Crytek engine was State of Decay, is built on Crytek. Strangely enough. Okay, Far Cry 2 did have a couple problems though. It did have broken stealth, which was kind of disappointing, because again, it was like Far Cry 1 where they saw you from 500 yards away and everybody in town started shooting at you, which brings me to another problem. It's an open world, but it's not an open living world. There's a couple birds, and I think I saw some gazelles, but I never saw another person. You pull up to a bar that's supposed to be full of mercenaries. It's got 3 in it. None of them are outside, and it's perfectly quiet until you go inside, and it's super loud. It's really weird. I think again, it's leading to better things in the Far Cry series, but it did kind of play like Fallout, but without all the leveling up and pausing to pick where you wanted to shoot. But then there was this thing, you remember like Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah.
San Andreas, like having to work out, or games where you have to eat or take a piss all the time.
Yeah.
This game, yes.
You pee to get your health back.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
It at least makes at least helps the game. In this game, they like cock block you from getting through the game because of malaria. Do you remember? You remember? You played it, right? In the game, you constantly are being affected by malaria. So if you run too much, everything gets blurry. He gets a little down. You have to like.
Well, you get malaria from mosquitoes.
True, and you have to keep getting pills and stuff like that. But
And if you're out in the woods and stuff like that, you know.
it's not like the game gave him malaria. It's like the writer of the game said, "Oh, we'll give him malaria because we want to make it boring at the beginning and make it frustrating."
Like dysentery, herpes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oregon.
I think they didn't have enough game, and they were like, "We got to slow this down. People are gonna beat this in 20 minutes. Let's give him malaria."
He's shitting everywhere.
Yeah.
Crapping his pants.
It did have buddies in it though, which were really cool because like.
They wipe your ass when you got malaria?
No.
Oh.
But you like help them out, and they'll call you and need help every now and then with like a mission. But like, I was out in a field one time and got swarmed by guys. Got shot, landed on the ground.
Bukkake.
I thought I was no. It's before that.
Oh, well. All right.
But I was laying on the ground dying, and all of a sudden I thought it's game over. All of a sudden my eyes open, and my buddy is there that I had made in game, and he's dragging me out of the firefight and shooting these guys for me. And he revives me, and then we go on to kick these guys' asses. That was pretty cool.
How did he revive you, though? You said he was. There's your buddy. You pointed down like this. There's my. There's your buddy.
Revive me.
So
If you catch my drift.
okay.
Anyway.
Oh, a pump.
But no, it was really cool though because like later on, like one of them died. Like one of the buddies died.
Yeah.
And it's not scripted. It's just in there. And then I can't talk to him or do anything anymore. He's dead. And I was like, oh man, this game actually is kind of like getting an emotional response from me. So I had to like go back to like an old save so I didn't have to have his death on my conscience anymore. And he could maybe save me from the next firefight that I screwed up. So.
Except malaria.